And we're live. Comp sci dude. Yeah, college is hard. I think that so much of it is about time management. You're clearly smart enough to do it. You probably just don't do it far enough advance, or maybe you're behind the 8 ball and you're doing your projects and getting them done just before midnight. Key to school, as you probably know, you're 24, go to class. Go to class is so gigantic. It's so much easier than trying to teach yourself and figure it out on your own late at night. It's ginormous. Go to class, read what they tell you to read, do what they tell you to do, and it all comes so super easily. That's a big part. Comp sci is actually hard. And then, by the way, when you work for a living in comp sci, it's like a daily IQ test competition. And before long, everybody knows where everybody's stack ranks. Maybe not the managers, but all the peers do. All the programmers, they see your code, you see theirs. You know who's who. You know who's fucking struggling to write this stuff and who's doing it with ease, with elegance, and with style and, you know, efficiency. That's what's up. Have
Comp sci dude just wanna be higher T than the $5. Oh, dude. Heard you previously mention the IQ rank situation with coworkers. Spooks me, but it's kind of exciting to try to prove myself. Thank you, Dad number 2.
Yeah. Just to add to that, it's like your coworkers know, and that matters to some extent, but the managers don't. The managers grade you on whether your projects satisfy business requirements, not the elegance and efficiency of your code. Does it satisfy business requirements? Was it on time? Are you able to communicate effectively with management and business and stuff like that? That's what they want in their programmers. That's what they value. I would say that in my little tiny corner of Cisco and e-commerce, I think there was another guy, Patabi Srinivasan, smarter than me. He just fucking was. Like even as I was working on my I remember I worked on this. It was a hypercube routing algorithm. You might not know what that is. A fault-tolerant hypercube routing algorithm. And I'm writing it, and I think it's clever. I think I'm really doing something. I'm proud of myself. I'm writing shit that I know over this sea of cubes that like none of these guys could write. Most of them wouldn't know what the fuck it was. And Patabi was there, and I showed it to him, and I was like, hey, man, you know, here's where I am. Like, thoughts? And the assignment captured his interest. And man, I had worked on it for like 6 hours. In 40 minutes, he had a solution that was better than mine. It was just like, scores posted, bro. You know, like Michael Jordan worked with me. And, you know, but management, not just implied, but told me, Woody, I'd way rather have you on my team. Because when we ask Patabi for a deadline, he tells me, you know, we shouldn't be doing deadlines right now. We should be doing some sort of, you know, pre-design phase that will lead to deadlines. Management told me they'd rather have me because I did those business things. I communicated well, and I hit my dates, and I solved business problems. So you don't have to be the smartest. You just have to get your shit done.
Comp sci guy again. When you were in college, did you always aim to go where you did? Regarding Cisco, etc., find any opportunities for better jobs? I'd love to work for anyone in the space industry, but understand it's super competitive.
Huh. So did I always aim to go where I did? No. I don't, maybe I didn't have a good target I was aiming for. When I went to, so first of all, I started with getting an accounting degree, and I was getting my accounting degree, working for my father during the day, going to school at night. Cool. As I was practicing accounting during the daytime, junior accounting, don't give me too much credit, but as I was working as a junior accountant, doing taxes and some basic general bookkeeping, I hated it. It might have just been that it was a pretty rough work environment. There was like an anti-nepotism thing my father was doing. I don't think he wanted anyone to have any idea that I was getting it easy. So he did it hard, and people were just mean and insulting and bullying. And anyway, so I hated that job and the subsequent jobs. And I moved into a tech support role, right? So people would call on the phone for this ERP software, enterprise resource planning. And it does all the accounting and like manufacturing planning for a manufacturing company. And I work there and I help people understand the software. I would go to the database and look into their records if there was something wrong with with what they had going on. Maybe put in a bug report, a professional bug report, one that they would really understand with steps to duplicate. I went from there, did another job where I guess I'll go on. It was American Health Fund was the next job I had. And what they did is they bought the debt from medical companies. And this debt is garbage, right? So someone might owe like a nursing home or a hospital $10 million, but they're only going to get like 1 million out of that, or even 500,000, right? Because that's how medical businesses work. They build a wazoo out of people, but they don't collect so much of it. And any individual debt would be very risky, but you could take a bunch of hospitals, bundle them together, and get a higher rating from, is it Moody's? I'm mixing it up. Is it Standard & Poor? I forget who rated our debt. But so I wrote the software that tracked how effectively we were doing collections on this debt. That was my next job. After that, I worked for another ERP company doing enhancements. So the salesman would sell something, say the product did something, or we could get the product to do something that would help you. I'd be the guy who made it, did it. And then I went back to the first job. Anyway, then I went to QAD. My point is, I wasn't really ever about any particular job. I just wanted more techie jobs that used my accounting background less and less. Each one of those was a step away from accounting and more towards the tech role. At QAD, which is the job I had right before Cisco, I worked in this department called Tools. And it was kind of neat being a generalist. A project would come in and I would do everything. I would size the hardware that, the database and the software was going to run on. I'd literally assemble the hardware and put it in the rack in the server room. And then I'd configure the software and I'd write the enhancements for it. And it had to plug into our own like call tracking system. It was a knowledge base. And I wrote that, connection. Then it didn't have an online component where customers could look up the status of their cases. And I wrote that and put it on the internet. And it was everything from sysadmin to programming to, internet work, which was really hot at the time. And I was fortunate to have that role because that breadth, one, made me better at subsequent jobs, even if it wasn't my specialty. But two, it exposed me to so much that I was able to pick my specialty. So anyway, afterwards I was like, I don't think sysadmin's for me. I feel like programmers more high T or alpha. That was like kind of what took me to that. And I think I really liked internet-based stuff, right? Like if I had to do business systems, just talking to a database, like what really lit my fire was putting stuff on the internet and just being like one of the gazillion people that was building out the World Wide Web and making it do more than it did before. I found that interesting. Now it's just a tool that everyone's always seen. But at the time, it was like a new thing that the world was adding. The internet at first was just like a bunch of pamphlets and billboards for companies. And then it started having actual uses and functionality. And I was one of the many, many people who did that. So, let's circle back to the question. Did I always do what I planned on doing? Yeah, so early on, I had jobs that exposed me to all the different aspects of tech work. And then once I figured out what I liked, I targeted that direction. So I hope that helps. Thank you for the posture check. Okay. Have I ever dealt with burnout over the course of my career, Cisco or YouTube, and how do you go about handling that? Yeah, I remember Cisco. You know who, I felt like at Cisco, I was on autopilot, right? I viewed all of life and all of as almost a lack of opportunity. I had tunnel vision. This is just what work is. This is what life is. There are no other options. There are no other choices. That's it, As a kid, when I was thinking about college majors, the feedback I'd get from my very influential father was, hey, You got to choose a major that prepares you for a job. Only job majors are real majors. You can be a doctor, you could be a nurse, you could be an engineer, you could be an accountant, you could be a computer programmer, you could be all the, but like, do you catch the trend? These are all majors that directly translate into employment. If I said, Dad, I want to emotionally grow as a person and learn, study history, he'd be like, fuck no. No way could you study history. Like, because it doesn't really prepare you for like a private sector job. I know you're all thinking teacher, but that's the kind of thing that he would want me to study and do. So I was just, I don't know, I had blinders on forever. And I did the YouTube thing. And I didn't when I started YouTube, there was no money in YouTube. And that's not to say that there wasn't much money in YouTube. It wasn't monetizable. No one but YouTube was making money on YouTube. Content creators, there was no incentivization, I'm pronouncing that wrong, for YouTubers. It was just something people did for fun as a hobby, period. That's it. And then I remember when Machinima partnered my channel, Wings ran the math on his channel, and he was like, this thing pays me $80,000 a year. Now I'm making, depending on bonuses and raises and shit, between like 120 and 180 a year at Cisco. 186 or 7 was my highest. But so you throw 80 on that, and it's a different number. You put 80 into 120, and like you're a different category. Like even it's a 180, you're like, it's really high for me. 260 is a lot better than 180, right? So I ran the math on my channel. And my run rate was $5,000 a year. I was like, fuck. Like, the gap between Wings and I was huge. And I thought about it, and I think a lot of it was about the upload schedule. I was uploading like one video a week, never missed it. And he was uploading daily. So that's when I started uploading daily too. When your channel grows on YouTube, it's really exciting. Like when you're new, everybody loves you. You've never been loved like this in your life before, right? You weren't crushing it in high school. Name a YouTuber that was like mega popular in high school. It's very uncommon because I just thought Dr. Disrespect was probably popular in high school. But most of us, we didn't crush it in high school. And you just always went through socially as kind of a regular person or even less than average. And suddenly you're the most popular guy in the world. Have you ever woken up and had like 100,000 people like your video? It's a crazy thing. All right. You guys all have great examples of people who were popular in high school, but I think you can still agree that it's the minority. So like there's this popularity, there's this growth, like things are going really cool. And and then there's money. You feel like you're building something from nothing that has a real financial future. And like that's the rise up. Anyway, as that was happening, I also worked at Cisco. So I kind of had two jobs. Like I was a YouTuber who made a video every single day, and I was also a full-time employee at Cisco. And I remember, I've told this story before. Forgive me for you guys who hear it all the time, but I'm on a conference call, and the conference call, it's significant. The other people in this conference call are Indian. And when I'm on a conference call with Indian guys, I really have to like put my focus on to understand like through the thickness of the accent. So I'm just like working extra hard, like focusing, trying to get all the meaning out of everything they say. And I'm just whatever. I'm in a meeting and I'm listening and I'm at Cisco and I'm miserable because this is like concentration difficulty. Meetings are not fun at work. So I'm just miserable focusing on a meeting about bullshit for sure with words I can only half understand, bringing the struggle. And Kyle sends me a picture. He texts it, and it is a pickup truck filled with watermelons. The back of it, not even filled, overflowing filled. Like as many watermelons as you could possibly put on a pickup truck, to the point that some surely fell off while they drove. And that was like God damn. You know, like the job I was always happy with, the life I was always happy with. Suddenly it's like, can you believe that there are people doing more than this? Can you believe that like other people are going bonkers and like living a life of creativity and freedom? And you know, he was going to put explosives in those watermelons and blow them all up that day. So that was one of the pivotal moments that made me want to be a full-time YouTuber. It was like, you know, look, I get that my channel's not FPSRussia, but it's not nothing. And I think there's something here. And and a job where I really wasn't burning out, a job where I really wasn't thinking of changing or wanting more. Suddenly I did change and want more because my friend Kyle had so much more. And it's like, well, not only was his income higher, but like, it just seemed so much fun. It was a dream. You know, don't you want to explode watermelons today? So, yeah, at Cisco, I guess I wasn't loving work, but I was on cruise control at work. I was good at my job. My job seemed to like me, and that's what I did. And then suddenly, someone took me off cruise control and made me steer on my own. Maybe autopilot would be a better term. And then someone took off the autopilot, and I was like, fuck it, let's go exploring. And that's what happened to me. Oh, last one. Hey, Woody, do you think Wings will drop the price tag and come back on PKA? I don't think Wings wants to come on PKA. I get this question a lot, and my answer is usually this. I follow the UFC, and if you ask, you know, whatever, Daniel Cormier if he wants to fight John Jones or something, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. He's lost twice. But what he'll say is, hell yeah, I want to. $50 million. That's his way of saying no. You know, if Conor McGregor has to fight someone who doesn't help him in the rankings, he says, fuck yeah, I'll take that guy on. $50 million. And the UFC is like, right, yeah. So by saying yes, but for 50 million, that means no. Because we're not paying you that. That's outrageous. That's what Wings is doing. Wings doesn't want to come on PKA. It's okay to not want to come on PKA. That's fine. But when he says, sure, I'll do it, $10,000 donation, he doesn't want to do it.
Comp Sci Guy Epilogue. Thanks for taking the time to answer my questions in depth, even if it's not interesting stream content. I have to chill with the donations for now. Hope to be a $50 Patreon in the future.
I hope
Love you guys.
I interrupted a donation, chat. That's new. Next level interruptions only seen here. Anyway, I hope it was interesting stream content, but thank you for the donations.
Woody, do you think your hard-working attitude is what made you able to be so successful, or was it your wealthy family? It's always interesting how people define success and pulling up their bootstraps.
Yeah, right?
Love you, Woody. Keep grinding. Yeets all around.
Thanks, bro. How are people donating in the names of my friends? That's FPS Kyle. So, yeah, I was talking to Jackie about that today, right? Like, I think it was in reference to Trump saying that he was totally a self-made man. He had a small loan of $1 million, and he turned that into $1 billion through just his own genius and wonderfulness. And I was like, man, I don't think that's true. And I think if you turn that mirror on me, it's not true. We talked earlier. I don't know how long you guys have been here, but when you donate, you can custom make your name. Oh, thank you. I didn't know that. My first job was working in my dad's accounting firm, right? That obviously he granted to me. You know, I was still in school. He wasn't hiring any other non-college graduates. That was a leg up. That was a helping job. I think I earned my money. I know I earned my money. I know the firm earned money because I was there. Like it was a win-win for everyone. But let's not pretend that I was the best interviewer to earn that job. I was my father's son. Cool. The next job I got was one of my father's clients. I did accounts payable and receivable for a railroad construction company. I interviewed for that job, but don't kid a kidder. 50-90% got that job off my father's recommendation. After that, all the jobs were independent of my dad. But how much did that resume leg up help me? Right? When I worked at QAD and did, basically that was the tech support job. People would call in, not understand how to use this finance planning software for manufacturing companies. And I would either help them use the software or like fix their database or whatever. Anyway, I don't know that I would have got that job if my previous place of employment had been Wendy's instead of Railroad Construction Company in Woodworth and St. John. So, like, from the time I was maybe 24 going forward, I made it all myself. But do you get to the same place if the time you were like 19 or 20 to 24, you didn't have that help? That's, he was definitely helpful in a tangible first job resume building way. He was also helpful in, an advice way. I called my father for business running advice for around Woodycraft. Here's my employee situation. He's looking for this. He's like, do we keep this guy? What do we do? How would you handle this? Hey, I've got employees that I had some weird management problems at Woodycraft. One of the biggest ones was no one needed their job at Woodycraft. Hardly anyone. Like here, I think this is okay to say. We had a guy, our first sysadmin tech guy. His name was Zero. He was great. We loved him, especially at first. He's the guy that wrote the parkour plugin, and he wrote a lot of the factions plugins. He wrote our permission system. He rewrote his permission. He liked the way the permission systems work, and he just wrote a fresh one from scratch. It was really impressive. Anyway, Zero was great, especially at first. And then he started to be that he really only wanted to work while we were on a call together. So I would have to stay on Skype calls with him throughout the night. He was Australian. So I would just stay up all night long, encouraging him, Chiswood too, to, do this and answer questions that he had or whatever. And we would just sort of pair up on stuff, but he only worked when I was there. So I was there all the time, even though he was on Australian time. He didn't need the money. I couldn't be like, Zero, bro, I want to wake up tomorrow and just know that it's done, because he'd be like, Woody, bro, 19, making a lot of fucking money at Woodycraft. I don't need this. I wanted to buy a new PC. I can buy like 14 of them by now. I've never had, like most people, when you're at Cisco, people need that job to pay their mortgage. He lived with his parents. He earned good grown-up salary. And it wasn't like I could quadruple it and it wouldn't change his motivation. And there was a lot of that. I had other people much less critical to Woodycraft, but they also worked at home and lived with their parents, like they were teenagers, and they're making like good, solid teenager money for playing Minecraft and talking to players and stuff. We paid people to do jobs that other servers had volunteers doing. And the reason is I felt like that's what it took to be able to ask them to do work. Hey, sync up with these guys, find out what they're up to, etc. If there's a volunteer doing that, then I don't feel like I'm the boss. I'm asking a favor. If there's a paid employee doing that, then like, hey, bro, I need you to do this. I'll circle back in a few hours. Let me know how that goes, etc. So, but yeah, most of the staff at Woodycraft, I felt like could have walked away any time because they didn't really need that job. And back on the topic, I would call my dad and be like, hey, here are my management problems. Donation?
Is Kyle set for life? How successful was he compared to people today who have 7 million subs? He's about to buy a second house. I understand the reasons, but seems like a lot of money to uproot. Did he make 10 meters, 100 meters?
Yeah, so there's no way I'm going to talk about Kyle's financial position. I will say though that I think he's renting right now, so he would be buying. He wouldn't have two homes that you're thinking of. But yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about Kyle's finances. So anyway, to wrap this thing up, was it all me? Well, shucks. I think that I certainly had a role to play. You know, I worked a lot of hours. I uploaded a video on YouTube for over 1,000 days in a row. Nobody does that. You know, no one goes 1,000 days in a row without missing one. At Woodycraft, I pulled 20-hour days. I've worked 60 hours in 3 days at Woodycraft. Was even when I was sleeping, I had like monitors with a glow over the bed telling me, which servers were red and which servers were green and how fast the TPS, the ticks per second were on them. Like working hard was certainly a component, but like if you just took the same Woody and had him raised in an adoptive family without some advantages, donation, probably not the same
Hey
results.
Woody, I wondered if you had any advice on how to narrow my choice of major. I am 2 years into a business degree because it seemed like a safe pick, but don't know what to specialize in for safe future career options. Love the podcast and the stream.
Yeah, so he wants to choose a major, and he's 2 years into his business degree. Are we getting that he doesn't want to keep his business degree? I'm actually not 100% sure about that. But for people a little younger than you, like 2 years younger, usually what I tell them is, okay, let's take a step back. Before you've worked, before you're 50 or 40 or whatever, you don't really know what these jobs are. You don't know what they do. You don't know what it's like to be that job or this job. It's very confusing. But I feel like you can choose your workplace and the kind of job that you do. You know, would you like to be a librarian? There's a simple one. Or would you like to work in a hospital? You can work in a hospital. You get sick people in there. You're making them better. You're kind of leaving a gold mark on the world. Does that motivate you to leave a gold mark on the world? Maybe you don't give a fuck. Maybe you just want to make money. If you want to make money, you could work by finance. That's where the money is. Do you want to work in a city? Do you want to work in a place where that job doesn't exist everywhere? Dude man earlier in the show wants to work in space tech, right? So he's already identified that he's willing to work in 4 different places in the country. Whereas if you worked in sales or IT or whatever, you could work almost everybody in this country needs an IT employee, maybe if the company's big enough. So you can identify what your work environment is. Do you need to be outside? Are you happy working inside? Are you happy working outside? Right? Is it okay to sweat at work, or does that sound like kind of a turnoff to you? Does prestige matter? Prestige didn't matter to me at all when I was a kid, but somehow in my 20s, it felt kind of nice to say I was a software engineer and hold my chin up high. At 19, I didn't have any value on that whatsoever. And then 10 years later, it was like, yeah, I work as a software engineer. I'm smart and I went to college and that felt good. Is an IoT outsourced to Asia? That's a risk. But yeah, so I normally tell people, hey, choose your workplace, and then that can help narrow down maybe what you want to do when you grow up. But you're halfway grown up. You're 2 years into a business degree, but you don't know what to specialize in with your business degree as a safe future career option. It sounds like he's looking for what to do with his business degree. Yucks. I don't know. You want to make money, it's finance, but it's high stress and it's not fun. No one enjoys that job. They just enjoy being rich. If you value safety, accounting is there. Accountants don't get fired and they always get hired. That's kind of nice. If you work in sales, you don't have much safety at all, but it also makes a ton of money. When you're young, travel typically seems super duper cool. It's neat just to be in a hotel. It's neat that someone else paid for your food that day. And then it gets to be that travel's not that cool, and you kind of wish you were home, and you wish you were around the people that you care about, and it's a stress on a marriage. So that's sales, oftentimes. Um, data analysis, learn SQL. That's a neat idea too. If you're bright, and you can learn statistics and how to query a database, there is a good job out there for you. It is a super important market to be able to analyze what people want to buy, what they have an interest in, what things go together. That data warehousing job, a friend of mine does it actually, and he makes bank. And he's trying to get his daughter into it. I'd love an update on that. The only problem is you got to kind of have a passion in it. You have to stay really current. It's not a job that you can learn how to do at 20 and then expect to kind of coast on that knowledge for a career. Whereas that's kind of true with a lot of jobs. But not data analysis. You have to really work to stay current and knowledgeable. So yeah, statistics is hard, right? Statistics was hard for me too. It's totally different. Back when I took statistics, the professor still valued being able to do it by hand. They felt like that was a fundamental step. And one of the things I struggled with was a statistics problem could have like literally like 300 simple steps, right? Not super complicated stuff, but just do 300 math and multiplication problems on your way to an answer, and you can make a mistake and not know where it was. And that was what I found challenging about statistics. I felt like I was understanding the concept. I was actually kind of enthralled by the concepts, and the teacher was really interesting. He could tell a story. He told us, so he got hired by the U.S. military. And a general in the U.S. military is this very important person who's used to be treated like a very important person. And he shows up and he has like 18
Donation.
slides. Oh, thank you, Papa Bean, for the $5. I appreciate that. High tea. Let's do a Taylor high tea. Ooh. I don't have a slide whistle. Okay. So this guy was a statistician, and he's presenting to a general in the United States Army, and he had like 18 slides. They show up, and they're like, no, you have 4 minutes. And he had this whiz kid, this absolute whiz kid that worked for him, who just kind of got it. He was a problem solver. And he's like, kid, what am I going to do? The guy's like 19. He's like, I have all these slides that explain how we took this data and came to this conclusion. So the kid's like, I got it. And he looks at the slide deck, he rips out the middle 16 slides and replaces it with a lizard wearing a wizard hat. And he's like, this is the data. We thought about it. And this is our conclusion. And they loved it. They even laughed at the fucking lizard with the wizard hat. And it solved all their problems. Anyway, our teacher could tell that story in a really compelling way. I love statistics. It was just hard to get them right by hand.
Figure that out.
Hi, Woody. I am a public admin undergrad in Norway. I am specializing in geographical information systems and econ. Would it be hard to get a job in city planning in the U.S.?
I don't
Donation.
know.
Woody, I've watched all your stock videos and fell in love with the stock market. I wanted to know if you can recommend any other books, videos to learn more about it.
Don't. No, I'm coming up so empty. I feel bad. Thank you, Schultz. Schultz Finance. Do you have a book that you'd recommend to stall? Schultz Finance? Are you a finance guy, bro? What would you push? Intelligent Investor, the chat says. Chat, can we come to some sort of forum on what a good book would be? Just browse Wall Street Bets. Don't listen to that, dude. It's an attenuation setting that lowers people's volumes. When you speak, it might lower their volume. I don't think so. You know this is Skype, right? Maybe you're thinking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was in my head too. Another vote for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah, that's not so much about the stock market, if I recall. Yeah, yeah, but it's about money management, which is another interesting thing too. The Millionaire Next Door is super interesting. I read. My father had me read that, and I was stubborn and rebellious at the time, so I told him it sucked. But it actually was a pretty good book, and I was about to say I'm emotionally richer for having read it, but I think I'm financially richer for having read it. Um. Anyway, hopefully we've got some book. Oh, you know what's pretty neat? It's not a stock market book, but I really like who's Gary V? Guy, what's his name? The marketing guy? Chat, what's Gary V's name? I'm waiting. It won't be too long. Yeah, thank you. Gary Vaynerchuk, is that right? I don't know if I pronounced it right. But Jab Jab Hook, I think is probably one of my favorites from him, where he talks about marketing, and I use it outside of just marketing sometimes too, like the conversational technique. But yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you like audiobooks, he reads his own books and he does it. He's really like excited. He's high energy, and it makes for a good audiobook. So Jab Jab Hook, you might like that if you like business books. Uh oh, and this one, Woody is my daddy. I'm a public admin undergrad in Norway, specializing in geographical information systems and economy. Would it be hard to get a job in city planning in the U.S.? Man, I'm so sorry. I feel like I couldn't know less about this. I want to like Google it and answer for you, but I don't know. I wasted your $5, but I don't want to just make it up. Crush It is awesome by him. Yes. Now, a lot of Crush It has to do with like social media and Facebook and like growing pages and stuff. So I felt like it gets dated quicker than Jab Jab Hook, which is why I picked it. But it's also about hitting shit at full steam and trying hard as opposed to cruising. So Crush It's definitely good. I just think aspects of it date quicker than Jab Jab Hook, but that's just me. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've never read that. Maybe I should. Maybe it shows. What do you've never read? How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it shows. Does it hold up? Isn't that book from like the 60s? Does it still like work today? Like in my universe, things like texting are important. Fuck, sometimes the Twitch like emojis, I'm like, shit, I don't get it. Someone explained Keck to me the other day, and I was really thankful for it. So, oh, you think it's even earlier than the 60s, like the 30s, but it still holds up, huh? I've read it, and it's pretty basic stuff. I wish Risk Gymnast. It's a good book regardless. I have a strong preference for audiobooks. I might need a new prescription. I need a new eyeglass prescription. Woody, you mentioned The Millionaire Next Door. Have you met someone with obscene wealth? A guy in my university has a family net worth of 20 billion. Oh. One of my friends, not like your guy. I have a 9-digit friend. That's pretty rich, I think. 9 digits is 100 million for people who are working that out. And he has a nice home. Ours actually not as good as mine, but it's the one he wants. And
donation.
Yeah.
Hey Woody, thank you for the advice you gave me through my adolescence. I can never pay you back fully, but here's $5.
Thank you, Eurofreight. I appreciate the kind words, and I guess the 5 or 2, but I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, I guess he's the only guy I hang out with regularly that has, even semi obscene health, right? 100 million is a lot. 9-digit friend, you thought I meant 9-inch cock? No, it's like 7, but good, good. Woody, how much does money buy happiness? Isn't that interesting? So, my father's partner in the accounting firm had this story about stress he told me. And it's burned into my head and had a lot of relevance. It seems to be true. So, there's another guy there, Ralph. Ralph's stress level was pretty high. It was always pretty high. Ralph's stress level was pretty high back when his major stress point. Thanks for the cheer.
Appreciate y'all, Woody.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate the Twitch biddies. Nice. His stress point was high when he had nothing to be stressed about. He used to stress about the St. Louis Rams and their draft picks. He'd stress about, fucking how the running back did that week. He stressed about bullshit. And then he got married. And he would stress about that, some more serious life issues. All of a sudden, his career was a little more important to him. And those were the things that kept his stress level at 8 out of 10 all the time. And then he had a kid, right? Sometimes the kid gets picked on at school. Sometimes he's doing well. Sometimes he's well. Still 8 out of 10, right? The things in his life have more gravity than they did before. Things in his life are more important. But this guy keeps cruising at 8 out of 10 stress no matter what. And like all of us, it goes higher and lower. He has 6 days. He has 10 days. But water finds its level and the guy averages at 8 out of 10. His wife got cancer. Stress level's 8 out of 10, right? He's pretty fucking stressed over it. It's a problem. Wife got better. Still 8 out of 10. I think that when we're talking about stress, when we're talking about happiness, which is what you actually asked about, people have a kind of predisposition to be at a certain spot. And life pulls you above and pushes you below that spot, but water still finds its level. Not having money is a stress point. Pain in the ass, right? It's a thing you have to worry about. And when you're still accumulating your money, you spend all your time on it. You probably work 40 hours a week. And when you're not working, it's a big concern. You want a new gadget or something, and you have to decide whether you want to invest the family's resources in this little thing. That's the kind of money that problems cause. It seems nonstop and it's never ending. When that's over, it's not as if your happiness level that was always a 5, not terrible, but not awesome, will be just steady state 9. Because the thing that was taking digs at you all the time is gone, right? Instead, you'll still be kind of a 5, just with more free time. That is my impression of how things go when you get past the money thing. I want to reread the question. Where did it go, Chad? The list. So does money bring happiness? Not on my screen. Does money bring happiness? It solves a problem. It solves one of the things that takes a dig at your happiness. I said you sit there and cruise at 5 all the time, and sometimes life pushes it to a 3 and raises it to a 7. That push to a 3 is not there anymore. So in that regard, it kind of does bring happiness. But it doesn't peak you out at 10 all the time, like maybe you thought it would. What brings happiness are personal relationships with friends, personal relationships with your family. Finance is probably part of it, and fitness is the other part. Those are the 3 legs of this stool that is our life. Your friendships and family we'll call a leg, relationships, finance, and fitness. And if you have those 3 things nice and sturdy, then you're going to be on the right track. So hopefully you got your $5 worth, $5 worth.